Good morning. I am Pastor Lauren, one of the pastors at First United Methodist Church in Conway. I'm going to offer our midweek devotional this morning. One of my favorite authors, who's also a professor at Duke Divinity, Kate Bowler, has been interviewing the 19th Surgeon General for the United States, Dr. Vivek Murthy, a lot lately. She's been interviewing him because he's an expert in loneliness. When he became the Surgeon General in 2014, he started taking listening tours around the U.S. He would go and talk to people in small towns and in large cities. He would talk to people in rural areas and suburban areas and urban places. Sometimes he would gather with citizens, and other times he would gather with mayors and other leaders of these places. And as he would hear in these listening sessions what people were going through, he would hear about the opioid crisis or the problem that people are having with diabetes or heart issues or other health problems that are causing great distress both for people as individuals but for our health systems. But every time he met with people under the surface, under these other health problems, he would hear this thread of loneliness. That in the midst of struggles people were having, in the midst of violence in their communities, in the midst of questions people had, people were feeling lonely. And he began to wonder about that, and began to write about and think about this epidemic of loneliness. He talks with Dr. Bowler about how lately we are being given permission to name our loneliness. That maybe in COVID-19, as we sit alone at home or social distancing away from people, maybe this is the time for us to name loneliness, for loneliness to be normalized, for us to share with others how we're feeling. Because we're all in this collective experience of difficulty together. We've been given social permission to say that loneliness isn't shameful, even if it's uncomfortable. Loneliness is something that we all feel. Maybe for some of us, we are living at home alone. We don't have other people to spend time with. We're missing hugs and handshakes. We miss our family members and those in our faith communities and other places we're engaged where we get to engage with people. Maybe, though, you aren't living alone. Maybe your house is full of kids learning, full of kids looking for things to do, full of family members trying to create workspaces where they can be successful in this odd time. And yet loneliness is still creeping in for you too. Loneliness creeps in for all of us at times, and it is our desire often to hide that. But maybe for us to be able to share that now is important. I am thinking about loneliness and Lent. As we've mentioned so many times in the season, that this time of COVID-19 coincides in such strange and maybe useful ways with this Lenten season. For during the season of Lent, we willingly step into the wilderness. We willingly enter into this odd place where we are called to look into the mirror at ourselves, to ask ourselves questions like, what is going on? What are my struggles? Where am I falling short? Where am I being tempted? And as we face ourselves in the wilderness, God is right there with us, whispering in our ear, saying, be honest, tell the truth, be vulnerable about where you are, because I am with you. I will meet you right where you are, not just where you are going, but in this moment of wilderness, I am with you. And as we see this truth, I am comforted. I hope this doesn't sound trite, but it's this reminder that we are not alone. That yes, we will feel loneliness. We will face it, especially in the wilderness, but God is with us. God never leaves our side. God is always whispering in our ear. God is always in the silence. God is always present with us. I think about the Israelites being led out of Egypt and into the wilderness. And when that happens, God doesn't desert them. God leads them and knows that they are going to feel alone at times. God leads them and knows they're going to need guidance, and they're going to want to know that God is present with them. And so in Exodus 13, we hear about the way God is with them. When Pharaoh let the people go, God didn't lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, even though that was the shorter route. God thought, if the people have to fight and face war, they will run back to Egypt. So God led the people by the roundabout way of the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of the land of Egypt ready for battle. Moses took with him Joseph's bones, just as Joseph had made Israel's sons promise, when he said to them, when God takes care of you, you must carry my bones out of here with you. They set out from Succoth and camped at Etham, on the edge of the desert. The Lord went in front of them during the day in a column of cloud to guide them, and at night in a column of lightning to give them light. This way they could travel during the day and night. The column of cloud during the day and the column of lightning at night never left its place in front of the people. God never left God's place in front of the people as he guided them through the wilderness. And in that moment, God is with them in the dark. God is with them in the daytime. He did not desert them. I have found this moment of wilderness to be one that's lonely sometimes, just as the Israelites felt in the wilderness. And we are always seeking assurance that God is with us. And the truth is that God does not leave us alone. One of the creeds in our United Methodist hymnal has been an inspiration to me this week. It has been something that has given me life when I'm feeling like I don't know what direction to go, when I feel like the wilderness is too real, closing in around me. I want to invite you to let this creed wash over you. I want you to hear the words, to meditate on them. I want you to let them fill your heart with peace and comfort in this uncertain time. Knowing that loneliness is a part of our human experience, and yet God is with us in these moments. The creed goes like this. We are not alone. We live in God's world. We believe in God who has created and is creating, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to love and serve others, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus crucified and risen, our judge and our hope. In life, in death, in life beyond death, God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. Amen. I pray that this creed might be balm for your hearts and souls this day, that you might reach for it in moments of loneliness, that you might meditate on it, maybe even memorize it this week. For we are not alone, and we live in God's world. Thanks be to God. Would you pray with me? Loving and gracious God, we are in a place we've never trekked before, a place that feels unfamiliar and uncertain. And we reach out to you looking for comfort and for peace, knowing that you will provide it, that you guide us like a shepherd guiding his sheep, that you sit beside us when we need to rest, that you Wrap us in your arms of love when we are feeling alone. Might we seek your presence, might we trust in you, and might we reach out to others that we think may be in need of encouragement and love this day. Move in our hearts and our minds and our souls, that we might know you even more deeply in these days of wilderness. Amen. Friends, thank you for joining me this morning. I do hope that you will also make plans to join us on Sunday morning for Palm Sunday. It is the beginning of Holy Week on Sunday, and so we will be joining together in a virtual palm processional. We'll have music and a short devotion, so we hope to see you on a Sunday morning as well.